Well, good morning and welcome to today's assembly from here in the library. This is a warthog. Handsome, isn't he? Now, Pumbaa in The Lion King was a warthog, and game rangers would say that the warthog has a terrible memory. A lion will start chasing a warthog, and after a while, the warthog will just stop and start eating grass. It's forgotten why it was running, till it looks over its shoulder, sees the lion, and starts running again. Now, it's strange to think, but in decades and generations to come, people are going to look back on this time that we're living in just now and wonder what it was like. Children your age will be sat in school in history or biology lessons studying the COVID-19 pandemic in the same way as we study the plague. They'll want to know what it was like. They'll want to know how we managed to do remote learning. They'll want to know what it felt like to be stuck with your family for weeks on end. They'll want to know what we missed the most. They'll want to know what we enjoyed. They'll want to know how we managed to get food. And like all good historians, they will want first-hand source materials, things that were actually written or produced by people at the time who were living through it. Now, we're not warthogs, we don't forget things that easily, but over time, stories do change. And that's why it's important to keep a journal. Now, a journal is often a physical book like this, where you write down your thoughts and your feelings. Some of you will probably keep journals already. Maybe it's hidden under your pillow or hidden under your socks in the drawer at the side of your bed. Journals aren't always for writing in. Some people keep journals of photographs. Some people use a voice recorder or they type online their journals. But a journal is just a way of capturing how you're feeling, what something was like at the time that you were living through it. Hopefully, we are never going to go something like this again in our generation. So therefore, it's really important that we remember what it was like. So it would be great if you could keep a journal. Write down how you're feeling, write down the challenges, write down the things that are good that you're enjoying about it. And then maybe you'll stick it away in a box for 20, 30, 40 years and not bring it out until you show it to your children or maybe your grandchildren. And then you talk to them about what it was like during COVID-19. The second thing I want to talk about is also to do with writing. When did you last get a letter? In an envelope with a stamp that arrived through the letterbox in your house. I'm not talking about a birthday card or a Christmas card, but an actual letter. We don't get them very often these days. We tend to use FaceTime or emails or Snapchat, or we tend to just do it verbally. Writing letters has become quite an old school thing, but I think it needs to come a bit new school. Now, I'm not talking about letters that we're forced to write as children at Christmas time to say thank you to great Aunt Mary for the lovely woolly jumper that she knitted us for Christmas. I'm talking about letters to people that actually say something about how we're feeling, or maybe encourage them. Putting pen to paper is really important, and for a whole variety of different reasons. Firstly, it's a memorable way to touch the people that you love. Research also shows that it actually makes us, the letter writer, feel happier. It also confirms the importance of a relationship to the other person. It helps you pause long enough to actually write something meaningful and important. It also creates a wonderful surprise for the person who receives it. And particularly older people love getting letters because it's a medium that they cherish and are used to. And also, it's easier than you think. Now, you know from your English lessons that when you write a story, the first couple of lines is actually the hardest part. After that, the story starts to flow and you find it becomes easier. And it's exactly the same with a letter. Paul, one of Jesus' disciples, was very famous for writing his letters. He also did them in lockdown because most of his letters were written when he was locked up in prison. He wrote letters to churches, he wrote letters to his friends, Titus and Timothy. So writing letters in lockdown isn't a new thing. So my challenge last week was for you to take time to give specific thanks to somebody, to say why you were grateful for something that they did. Gift wrapping your gratitude, we called it. This week, I want you to write at least one letter with a pen on paper and to send it to someone. Hopefully, somewhere in the house, you've got a stamp and an envelope so that you can do this. If you haven't, well, you can still handwrite the letter, take a photograph of it, and email it or text it to the person that you want to send it to instead. That's not as exciting as receiving an envelope through the post and opening it, but maybe it's the next best thing if that's all you can do. And in that letter, tell the person how you're feeling. Tell them about your highs and lows. Tell them what you're finding difficult, what you're enjoying. Ask them questions about how they're getting on. Maybe they'll write back. Tell them what it is about them that you love and value. It will encourage them. So this week, my challenge is to put pen to paper and write a letter. And if you're feeling particularly creative, also start a journal.